right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story I want to talk about today, the latest updates from Horse MD, Marcelo De Angelis, and the dark horse, I think, for the Arnold Classic 2024. Pun intended. So over the last year or two, there's been a lot of conversation around Horse. He turned pro in bodybuilding, then started to pursue classic physique for his pro career. I think he realized relatively quickly that he was going to struggle to make weight in classic physique. He was just too big, then started pursuing bodybuilding and took a pretty good chunk of time to grow into the open bodybuilding class, making his pro debut this year at the Romania Muscle Fest, where he secured himself a top 3 placing, which honestly I think was higher than a lot of people thought he was going to place. And overall, just a really impressive showing. He would then miss the next 2 shows that he was planning on doing because he ended up developing some illness, so he went back home to Brazil. I think he was going to do the Japan show and the Prague show, but he was unable to compete. So now he gets a little bit of a chance at redemption at the Arnold Classic, where he's got about 11 full weeks to prepare for that show. And I think a really good opportunity, actually, to make a statement here. I don't necessarily think there's a chance of him winning this show with guys like Samson and Hadi in this lineup. But if you really look at the lineup that they released for this Arnold Classic, well, there's a lot of big, impressive names. Samson and Hadi are the 2 main standouts, of course, with Andrew Jacked as well. But if you look at these names, I think there's a really strong possibility that you could see Horse MD in that first call-out. It's conceivable that he could be a top 6 guy, which in this lineup would be massive for him. I think you would probably have Andrew Jacked, Hadi Choopan, Samson Dauda as your likely top 3. Probably Rafael Brandao would be in there. Potentially Rubiel Mescara, Neckzilla, and then Horse. That would be 6 guys. And you could interchange them with maybe James Hollingshead in there, Akeem Williams in there, even though Akeem hasn't really competed recently, hasn't really proved himself recently. I think there's a real conceivable possibility that you could have Horse MD in that top 6 battling with some of the best bodybuilders in the world. And if he looks good in that top 6, I think that would be a really good statement for him, even if he was 6th. I think just the opportunity to potentially stand next to a Mr. Olympia, Hadi Choopan, at his 2nd show ever for Horse would be huge. And maybe he has a couple shots that are favorable and comparable. And we already got to see him stand next to Samson, and he didn't look bad next to Samson in comparison. And I think overall, this Arnold Classic is going to turn out to be a pretty big show for Brazilian bodybuilding fans, because you've got Rafael Brandao and Horse MD, 2 of the best bodybuilders, if not the 2 best open bodybuilders from Brazil. Then you've got their best classic physique competitor, Ramon Dino, doing the classic physique portion of the show. But I think the biggest obstacle that all these guys are going to have to overcome in this Arnold Classic lineup is Hadi Choopan. And this is the latest physique update that we got from Hadi at 11 weeks out. And Hadi is exactly what you expect Hadi to be. He's a real consistent champion, always in shape. Conditioning is always on point, and even at 11 weeks out, deep separations in the quads, cross striation separations in the quads, super vascular, super deep abs. You can see a serratus really well, fibers popping in the chest, vascular all over, lots of detail, and we're still 2.5 months away from the show, nearly 3 months. So while I think Hadi is the toughest obstacle in this lineup for these guys to overcome, I think one of the things that makes this Arnold Classic so exciting is now we know there is a possibility for an upset. Hadi Choopan was upset this year by Derek Lunsford, so we know he's not just this unstoppable Mr. Olympia force. He could be stopped here. There could be an upset. And I think realistically the most likely suspect to be able to do that would be Samson Dauda, but I really think he's going to have to out-condition Hadi, or at least be comparable in terms of conditioning to do that. He's obviously bigger than Hadi, taller, more aesthetic, a little bit of better stage presence, but the conditioning, even at the Olympia where he was 3rd and Hadi was 2nd, I don't think the conditioning was really close. So Hadi is going to provide a really, really unique, difficult obstacle for these guys in terms of conditioning, in terms of him being, I think, the only Mr. Olympia in this lineup if Brandon Curry doesn't do it. And I don't necessarily want to see an upset because Hadi Choopan doesn't do any shows outside of the Olympia since he's been to the Olympia, essentially. So this is the first Arnold Classic US he's doing. The first show in the US he's ever done. And I think it would be a good title for him to add to his collection there. And it would definitely be something different for the Arnold title history. And it would build a really good bit of momentum for Hadi going back into the Olympia, having won the Arnold Classic. Just look at what it did for Samson. Samson had crazy momentum going into the Olympia this year after that Arnold Classic win. But let's talk about another former Mr. Olympia here, because we got another update from Big Ramy. I believe this is from the same day as the previous update that we got from Ramy, but you can see a little bit more, and it's a little bit longer of an update. But he is wearing the same shorts, and he appears to be in the same gym setting as he was in the prior update. But you get to see him pose a little bit longer here, and obviously a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with Big Ramy. Is he actually going to come back? Can he actually come back? And how's he going to look when he does? What's the effects of these stem cell treatments going to be? Are they going to be tangible enough for him to get back to like 2020 Big Ramy? I mean, in this video, you get to see him a little bit more straight on. The previous video was just kind of side shots. And you get to really see the width that Ramy still has and the size that he still has. He's still a huge dude. You can't see the legs here, of course. You can't see much of the back, which I think is what a lot of people are looking to see, if that nerve damage can be fixed in any capacity because of the stem cell treatments. The triceps as well. But those were really, I think, the two main lagging points when Ramy lost the title. Was the back, those mid to lower lats specifically, and the triceps. And I think the main thing that you can really glean from these updates is that Ramy's still huge. I mean, this guy, he looks phenomenal in these updates because the fact that we haven't seen him on stage in so long, and he's still holding on to this much size, he's doing these treatments, he's recovering, but he's still clearly a mass monster freak in these videos. We haven't really known that, though, because he's been quiet for so long. He hasn't posted anything for so long, so we really have had no idea what he's looking like. In fact, there were a lot of rumors starting to stir up that Ramy might not even come back at all because he had been so quiet. He stepped away from the stage, and we hadn't seen any, not even training videos from Ramy. But these updates are at least important enough to serve the purpose of letting us know that Ramy's still here. And he's not just Ramy, he's still Big Ramy. And I don't really think anything is impossible in bodybuilding right now, so I'm open-minded to a potential comeback from Ramy where he could get his title back, because when I started really following bodybuilding, it was like the reign of Phil Heath, and every year you pretty much knew Phil was going to win again because he was that unstoppable for 7 years straight. But the last 5 years especially, the title has changed hands quite a bit. You had Sean Roden, you had Brandon Curry, you had Big Ramy, you had Hadi Choopan, you had Derek Lunsford this year. The title has been changing hands left and right, really more so than it ever has in the past. We've had a lot of back-to-back different Mr. Olympias here in recent history, and that hasn't always been the case. I think Derek winning this year surprised a lot of people. Hadi winning last year surprised a lot of people. When Ramy won his first title, I think that surprised a lot of people. Brandon winning was a surprise to a lot of people. And of course, Sean Roden upsetting Phil Heath was a surprise to a lot of people. So we're getting kind of used to surprises. We're getting used to rising stars. We're getting used to new champions. So I would be surprised if Ramy were able to come back and reclaim the title. But I wouldn't be shocked because we've had a lot of weird things happen in bodybuilding lately. Now, next up in the news, I did also want to point out that the Arnold Classic had announced that Ruff Diesel would be competing in the Classic Physique portion of the Arnold. Ruff put up a post shortly after confirming he will not be competing. He says, "I will not be competing at the Arnold Classic this year. Tiffany and I will be opening our gym around this time and need to focus on the grand opening. The Arnold is absolutely my favorite show to compete in, so this doesn't come easy, but good luck to everyone competing this year." And then he tags the Arnold Sport. So even though he's not in it, you've still got Urs, Breon, Ramon, Wesley Vissers. You've still got a very impressive lineup here. So even though it's taking a hit not having a former Arnold Classic champion, former Olympia runner-up in Terrence Ruffin, you've still got quite a competitive group of guys here in Classic Physique. There's no doubt about that. Now, the final story I wanted to include today, the latest physique update from Martin Fitzwater. So Martin was kind of publicly lobbying to be included in the Arnold Classic lineup leading up to the release of the actual competitor list. And I guess he filled out an athlete submission. He hasn't competed at all in 2023, which is probably the main reason why he wasn't accepted into this lineup. He does have a second place finish to Andrew Jacked at the Texas Pro from the prior year, and a third place finish at the Arnold Classic UK from the prior year. But to be totally honest, I've always been a huge fan of Martin's physique ever since that Texas Pro. He is one of the shorter guys with a ton of size, pretty aesthetic guy for that much size on a small frame. And I thought he looked really good, especially at that Texas Pro where he was second to Andrew Jacked. But it looks like we won't see him at the Arnold Classic. We'll probably see him on stage at a different show this year. But what do you guys think in the comments below? Would you have liked to see Martin in this Arnold Classic lineup? And what do you think of his physique overall? And I guess it's also worth pointing out that he's never won an Open Pro show, as I read off those statistics, which is probably the other reason why he didn't make the cut. But with this being, such a deep and diverse Arnold Classic lineup, I was a little surprised to not see his name on that list. And I think he was a little surprised as well, especially having competed in the UK show, the last one. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification icon, all that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.